So let's talk first thing about the bad sweeteners as far as I'm concerned. So these are the sweeteners that, you'll talk to one person, they'll tell you, oh my God, aspartame will kill you, you're gonna get a brain tumor, it causes cancer, it's this, it's that, and the other. You're gonna talk to somebody else and they're gonna say, no, it's fine, I've read the studies, there's nothing concrete. And it's true, there's so much muddy water around these sweeteners in terms of the studies, in terms of what they do, in terms of what they don't do. But I will say that there's enough muddy water around them where it really does make me not want to go to these sweeteners, right? I just rather avoid it. But there are better options and there are worse options. So aspartame, sucralose, not great options. Okay, all the sugars. So we have this amazing misconception out there that if we replace processed white sugar with a healthier version of sugar, so coconut sugar or dates or applesauce, right? We'll see that in recipes, or turbinado sugar or organic sugar cane or whatever the case may be. We have this this myth out there that says, if we replace the processed white sugar with these healthy alternatives, that all of a sudden you've made a recipe healthy, and that now all of a sudden that recipe is going to be blood sugar balancing and it's not going to be sweet, there's no added sugar, and that is not true. So they're definitely a step up in terms of health, but we're talking blood sugar balancing, we're talking, fat loss friendly, and at the end of the day, all of these things, the dates, the coconut sugar, the applesauce, the turbinado sugar, the organic sugar, the whatever syrups, all of these things still boil down to sugar. Your body still digests them down to sugar, right? So what I don't want you to do is get caught up in thinking that if you make these healthy substitutions, then you are making a food more fat loss friendly, that you're making a food, more likely to work for you, when yes, you might be making that food quote unquote healthier, right? You're not necessarily making it better when it comes to balancing your blood sugar, when it comes to balancing your hormones, and when it comes to putting the hormones that are in control of burning off stored energy in the driver's seat, as opposed to the hormones basically that store more energy, aka fat. Right? So really watch what you're doing when it comes to these ingredients. Yeah, basically, if you're over here, if you're mixing up protein balls and throwing a whole bunch of dates in them, or, you're making smoothies and you're adding dates, or you're switching applesauce in, into some cookies, or whatever the case may be, yes, you're doing a healthier thing, so that's all good, but know that you're still using sweetened products. That's still sugar. It's still going to spike your blood sugar. It's still going to spike your insulin, and it's still basically not an ideal choice. This is kind of where I'm at, and I will add monk fruit in there as well, because it's also a good choice. So xylitol and erythritol, these are the two I have up here. These guys are what we call sugar alcohols. So yes, they're carbohydrates, yes, they are sugars, but your body doesn't absorb them the same way. They basically kind of pass through without being digested down, and without creating the blood sugar spikes, and without creating the insulin spikes. So they really don't count. I love erythritol. So erythritol is the sugar alcohol that tends to be the nicest on your guts, basically. And I've got a little, this is what I like to use. So this is Swerve sweetener. So if you were trying to bake, if you were trying to do something where a recipe calls for sugar, and you want to use something, that's still tastes good, that's going to add a sweet flavor, that's not going to spike your blood sugar, I find this Swerve to be amazing. The reason being, you can substitute it in 1 for 1. So if it calls for a cup of sugar, you can put a cup of Swerve in it. And this is erythritol based. So erythritol tends to be the sugar alcohol that's the easiest on your guts. So it doesn't tend to cause as much digestive upset as the xylitol would. Just know that stevia does tend to be really bitter, especially the powdered versions that you would be substituting in a baked good. Like if you were doing a cupcake, or I don't know, whatever you're adding a sweetener to, that's the only thing that I would worry about with stevia. So you can look at it, you can try different brands. Some of them are more bitter than others, but it's not my favorite. If I'm substituting a sugar product in, I'm gonna pick erythritol just because from the studies I've read, it's really benign. It doesn't bother my stomach. You know, there's links to it being an antioxidant. It doesn't spike blood sugar, and it tastes a lot sweeter. It's like about 60 to 80% of the sweetness of sugar is the flavor you get out of erythritol. So that would be what I would choose. So basically, if we're looking at sweeteners, we're looking at sugar alcohols, we're looking at stevia and monk fruit. Those are the ones that I would look at. All right, that's it, guys. Good night.